all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength, and with all your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself. And you're saying, but that's the same exact answer. Well, okay, but that's because they're quoting from the Old Testament they knew all so well. You have answered correctly, Jesus replied. Do this and you will live. Same time, different time, we don't know. But Jesus is going to add something to this. When he wanted to justify, but he wanted to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? Now this is why I think it's a different person, because this person seems to be like, I really want to prove to you that I've done all this, and so he seeks to justify himself. The problem with justifying ourselves, guys, we can't. We can't do it apart from Christ's righteousness being what we wear. If we're going to wear our righteousness and say, I'm going to be justified by my actions, by my thoughts, by my deeds, I'm sorry, you're just not going to make it. You may make it farther than I make it, but you're not going to make it to the destination. Only with the righteousness of Christ can we be redeemed. So he wants to justify himself, so he asked Jesus, and who is my neighbor? Now the following story I love. I think they've probably made a couple of TV shows and things like that to kind of illustrate this parable, but it's a simple parable. A man was going down from Jerusalem to Jericho when he was attacked by robbers. They stripped him of his clothes, they beat him, and they went away, leaving him half dead. A priest happened to be going down the same road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. Okay, here's the professional clergy of the day, the professional pastors of the day, the professional, I am the representation of God. This is my job. And he sees this half-dead person. He doesn't know whether he's dead, whether he's whole dead or half dead or almost dead all day. That's from Princess Bride, if you haven't watched that movie. Mostly dead all day, that's it. So what he does know is, I'm clean, I'm purified, I'm ready for spiritual surgery. I can't go over there and touch that thing. If I go over there and touch that guy, I'm gonna have to go back and get ritually cleaned, and it's gonna knock me out of being able to be on call this week, and all of a sudden I'm just gonna kind of like, oh, I'm so busy I can't. Okay, that's person number one. A priest happened to be going down the road, and when he saw the man, he passed by on the other side. So too a Levite, when he came to the place and saw him, passed by on the other side. This Levite, he wasn't necessarily a professional priest, but he was a self-proclaimed, I am set apart. The Levites were set apart. Man, we don't do this, and we don't do this, and we don't do this, and we don't do this. We are special. Wait, there's a guy half dead right there. That's something else we don't do. We don't mess with half-dead people, apparently. And so he gets on, and he passes on the other side. I'm sure he's thinking, man, I got places to go. I got appointments. I got hospital visitation. I've got a prayer meeting at the church. I got worship rehearsal. I really don't have time to go over this. This may take longer than the amount of time that I have allotted for today's ministry time. So too, a Levite, when he came to the place, saw him, passed by on the other side. But a Samaritan, as he traveled, came where the man was, and when he saw him, he took pity on him. Why does he say he's a Samaritan? Because if there's one person that doesn't get along with a Jew, it's a Samaritan. And the Samaritan doesn't get along with the Jew. The Jew was purebred, the Samaritan was half-bred. They didn't get together. They didn't fellowship. If the Samaritan had been laying there and the Jewish man was traveling to Jericho and saw the Samaritan laying there, I don't know that he would have gone over. But for the purpose of the story, Jesus points out that he is a Samaritan. So Jesus has said, okay, there's this religious leader, and there's this super moral person, and then there's the person that you wouldn't be caught dead in an elevator with. And they all three see this man who is laying there on the side of the road. He went to him, he bandaged his wounds, pouring on oil and wine. Then he put the man on his own donkey, brought him to an inn, and took care of him. The next day he took out 2 denarii and gave it to the innkeeper. Look after him, he said, and when I return, I will reimburse you for any extra expense you have. Which of these 3 do you think was a neighbor to the man who fell into the hands of robbers? Jesus turns it around beautifully. You're thinking about what's my bare minimum people that I need to worry about. You know, let's bring it in to just, okay, is it just friends and family? Is it just people that I share my data plan with? Is it just people who I work with on the same floor? Is it just the people who are on my soccer team or root for my favorite football team? And Jesus goes, okay, well let's just turn it around and blow it completely out. You got a super religious person, a super moral person, a person you wouldn't be caught dead with, and a guy who's hurt, and only one who came to his aid was the one who he wouldn't be caught dead with. So which one is acting like a neighbor? Which one is a neighbor here? And they can't argue. And they go, well, the expert in the law replied, the one who had mercy on him. Jesus told him, so go and do likewise. You're not going to give me a list? You're not going to give me can't I just have a certain group of people that I have to be friends with? Can I just, Christians? It doesn't matter. I'm not a fan of any, I'm not a fan of ISIS. I'm not a fan of third world tyrants. I'm not a fan of people who sell pornography. I'm not a fan of any of those people. But guess what? They're all my neighbor, because I'm supposed to love God with all my heart, with all my soul, with all my mind, with all my strength, and I'm supposed to love those He created as I love myself. So we have to believe that, we have to live that, or we will never be effective in sharing Christ's love, because we will pick and choose who we share Christ's love with. I pick and choose that person because I like the way they look, I like the way they smell, I like the way they vote, I like the way they cheer, so I'm going to minister to that person. But this person, I'm sorry, the bumper sticker on the back of their car says they didn't vote like I voted, so obviously they're idiots, and idiots don't deserve my love and friendship. Somebody thinks you're an idiot too. I'm just going to tell you that right now. Not me, but somebody. So we began the year talking about God, and we're not going to go back and go through all that and who God is, but God is a God of love. God is a God of kindness. He chose you not because you were great or special or wonderful. He chose you because He loved you. And that's what He wants us to do. He wants us to mimic Him. Why are we going to choose to love the people we love? Because we've got God inside of us. And we have God giving us the ability to go and love people who are unlovely, unlovable, and sometimes don't want to be loved. So the last scripture that we're going to look at today is John chapter 13. And again, this is Jesus, and then I want to share what to me is just a great story about Jesus. Love God, love His creation. That's how we express our love to God. In John chapter 13, verses 31 through 34, when He was gone, Jesus said, "Now the Son of Man is glorified, and God is glorified in Him. If God is glorified in Him, God will glorify the Son in Himself, and will glorify Him at once. My children, I will be with you only a little longer. You will look at me, and just as I told the Jews, so I tell you now, where I am going, you cannot come. A new commandment I give you, love one another as I have loved you, so you may love one another. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." And if you notice where that happens, this is the night He was betrayed. This is the upper room. This is Jesus talking to the disciples. This is like the last thing He says to them before He is taken away. I'm giving you a new commandment. love one another as I love you. And guess what? I'm fixing to go lay my life down for you. I'm fixing to go hang on a cross for you. I'm fixing to take the full wrath of my Father for you. If you just love people like that, that's what I want. That's my new commandment. I want you to love like I love you. Now, I don't know your particular situation. Some of y'all I know. But I don't know everything about you, just like you don't know everything about me. But Christ gave himself willingly for you. And I promise you, if you were the only one who needed it, he would have done it for you. Because sometimes we get caught up in that, oh, Christ was just dying for a bunch of people and it was a package deal and I got stuck on the box. Like I was some overrun or something like that, or defective part, and they just threw it in the box and shipped it out to Jesus. No. He picked you. He died for you. He gave himself willingly for you. Why? Because he loves you. Period. So a couple of things we can take away from that. Number one, you're special. I mean, he chose you. Number two, you did nothing to deserve this. I started to say you're not special, but that would have sounded weird. But you didn't do anything to stand out in the crowd. He loves you. So, as we look at the world, and next week we'll talk about something else, but this week we're talking about the command. If you don't buy into the command that I'm supposed to love God with everything, and that I'm supposed to love his creation with everything, and I'm supposed to love the way Jesus loved and gave himself. If you don't buy into that, then it really doesn't matter what somebody tries to teach you about evangelism or how to share your faith or lifestyle evangelism, all that stuff. See, all that becomes kind of unimportant, because you're going to still choose who to be nice to, who to love, who not to love. But I want to encourage you this week, I challenge you to do this, to pray and ask God to bring, let's say, 3 different people into your life this week. One who is just easy to love and tell Jesus about. Okay? Let that happen early in the week, Lord. Somebody that's easy to talk to. I mean, they're just like, they walked up and they looked at me and they said, man, would you please tell me about Jesus? And they're a nice person and everything you like about him. And then I'd like for you to pray that the Holy Spirit would connect you with somebody who's maybe not that easy to love, but not that hard to love. And then maybe by next Sunday, the Lord will bring somebody into your life who is really hard to love. But guess what? He flipped a switch inside me, and I went from thinking, I'd like to kill you, to I would die for you. Because that's what Christ wants us to feel. That's how he wants us to look at our fellow dwellers here on earth. We are here on mission with him. So the last story that I want to tell you is, and it's just a story. I've heard it. I heard it years and years and years ago, and I've kind of developed it to be my own. And so here you go. This is not in the Bible, okay? There's a Roman soldier, and he's walking through town. And he's got a pack, and in the pack is some perfume that he got for his girlfriend, and he's on his way home. And he knows, like every Roman soldier knows, that he can require anybody to go a mile with him and carry his load. And so he sees this group of little boys, and as soon as the boys see the Roman soldier, all but one take off. But one little boy just stands there. And the Roman soldier walks over, hey, boy, get over here. And he hands him the pack. This is important. This is worth way more than you are. Carry it. Let's go. And so the young man says, okay, sir. And he calls back to his mom, Mom, I'll be right back. And they begin to walk together. And he tries to engage this Roman soldier in conversation. So what's in the pack? You said it was expensive. What is it? It's perfume. You just don't need to worry about what's in the pack. You just keep walking, boy. So they keep walking. And the Roman soldier, just like every Jewish little boy, they know exactly where a mile is because they've been counting. And look, as soon as I hit that mile, I'm free from my obligation. I'm letting go of your pack, and I'm running back home because you can't do anything to me because I did what the law required me to do. I went that mile. And so the soldier's now kind of following this boy, expecting that pack to drop.